Caveats and mortgages are both types of interests in land, or they're both actually notifications that go on a title of a property. Most people are familiar with mortgages because you would have your own personal mortgage for the house you live in. So that's relatively well understood because people use them every day. A caveat is a bit different in the sense it's a notice that goes on the title of a property which notifies the world at large that somebody claims an interest in that property. The most important thing about it is that you're not able to sell the property without the caveat being removed. So typically a caveat supports is security for a loan or a financial transaction of some sort, or even for a supply agreement. So if you go into a supply agreement, you apply for credit with a credit provider, say a bank, they can put a caveat on the title as long as their terms and conditions allow for that. Or even we do them in terms and conditions for clients. We draft their terms and conditions. We have a caveat, a charging clause, which gives rights against property. That helps clients a lot in the sense that if the company that they've supplied to can't pay, the individual can't pay, then there's actual real estate security which then can be relied on. That property can't be sold without the debt being paid, and there can be enforcement proceedings brought to enforce that charge. It has to be in writing. You can't do it verbally. You can't give a caveatable interest verbally, but it's very powerful. So a mortgage is an interest in property that is registered against the title. It's a legal interest in real estate. If somebody doesn't pay a debt and there's a mortgage in place, then the debt can be enforced by selling the house. So typically you seize and sell the house to pay the debt. So it's a form of security to support often a loan, but also any other kind of transaction. So it's security for a transaction. A caveat is a bit different in that it's a notice on the title that somebody claims an interest. So a caveatable interest is an interest which allows you to put a caveat on a property, and it's typically in terms and conditions or something like that. In terms of an example, we've got a client who went to a hardware supplier. Their company went to a hardware supplier, signed the terms and conditions of the hardware supplier, which included a right to lodge a caveat over real estate. They then transferred the real estate to somebody else, and when that transfer was registered at the titles office, there was a caveat on the title that the hardware supplier had put, which then stopped that transfer, so that client could no longer sell their property until they repaid the supplier. So in this case, the client was likely to go bankrupt. They didn't have any money to pay the supplier, and if it wasn't for that caveatable interest, the supplier wouldn't have been paid. So it's a way of securing property, securing transactions, securing loans, that sort of stuff, which is very strong in the sense you can't sell your home without the supplier being paid. We put a lot of charging clauses and caveat clauses in our terms and conditions that we do for our clients, and it helps clients get paid much more quickly because people realise if the company folds, the house is on the line, if you like. So, I mean, effectively, if you don't pay somebody who has a caveatable interest in your property, then they can sell your real estate. So unless you want to sell your house, you've got to pay. So it gives you much more powerful protection. Generally, I'd recommend for clients, if clients are lending money or entering a credit transaction with a client, they should have signed terms and conditions which allow payment from the company. Then they should have a personal guarantee, and they should also have a charging clause which enables the lodgement of a caveat. That's the best security you can have. And in order for somebody to not pay you in those circumstances, the company would have to go into liquidation, they'd personally have to go bankrupt, and the house would have to have no equity in it. So the chances of having all those three things happen are pretty low. So you can be assured that if you have those three bits of security in place, then you're going to get paid. It might not be suitable in all transactions, small transactions where you've got a trusted client or whatever, no problem. But if you're dealing with, say, a new customer and you've got no idea of whether they're likely to be able to pay you or not, this is going to help you get paid and help you be assured that you can extend a large amount of credit to someone with some certainty that they'll repay you.